Howdy do, honey poos. It's me, the Clutch Canuck, along with the bodacious Barnaby. And just recently, I was at Midwest Gaming Classic in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I'm here to show you my finds, my experience, my overall just little moments I had up there in Milwaukee over the weekend. So sit back and enjoy, you tuna boy. I rolled into Dallas Love Field on a Friday morning and met up with my Dallas crew, who I'll get to later. Following a couple 1-hour flights and an awkward drive without Uber driver, we arrived in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, home of the Midwest Gaming Classic. After we checked into the Hilton Hotel, which is gorgeous by the way, just go throw a few shots in here, very fancy schmancy, we settled into our rooms. Oh, there's our room, like I Love Lucy. Finding somewhere to eat afterwards, we headed out to Doc's Smokehouse, and if there's one thing Milwaukee is known for, it's its barbecue. Simmering down, we began chatting up about the convention, what we will hopefully find there. There's Jeff, John, Jake, Courtney, and Kirk. Things got a little out of hand as Kirk ordered the judging table, a $50 meal all to himself. Thankfully, he was able to scarf it all down in a jiffy, though. Well, when we headed back to our rooms, we all decided it was time to sneak into the vendor hall before opening day, catching all the behind-the-scenes shenanigans. Well, most of us anyway. I already locked my eyes on a few titles and was already wheeling and dealing just like John taught me. I had to stop myself from buying all the titles before the real opening day, so I headed back to the room. And all of a sudden, I got a rumbling on my phone that the Minnesota Misfits had arrived and were causing chaos at the Brat House. It was great meeting up with them, Doc, Donald, Dan, and Date. We all played pull tabs for an hour and we all got shit-faced. I also had myself a world-famous Milwaukee Brat, and it was so damn good I forgot to take a picture of it. Instead I took this. It was a perfect way to kick off the weeknight, but it wasn't even over yet. Pull tabs! You see, when I bought my convention pass, I accidentally bought one for Friday too, which in itself was $40 out of the $100 I spent. It's nuts. So Kirk and I had 20 minutes to spare before midnight at the arcade, where we shot a basketball. $40 well spent. Well, it was finally time to hit the sack. Kirk took a photo of his pre-weekend pickups, and I made my way down to the lobby to puke my guts out. Then it was time to sleep. What will tomorrow bring? Okay, it's day one, and well, heading to the vendor hall, hoping to find something kind of cool to review. I probably already mentioned that in my narration, but yeah, this elevator's kind of dope, not gonna lie. Alright, let's head back to our room right now. It was Saturday morning, and it was time to hit the vendor hall. Well, here we are. I guess we're out the way, that's great. I was already stoked on how many games there were, from all generations to come. It was quite the sight for sore eyes. I had to move fast to make all my deals while nobody was watching. Majority of my spending was in the first hour alone. It was nice checking off all the random titles on my list early. I took a break from the spending though, and was more or less admiring the old artifacts like this box Odyssey. However, my attention shifted when I spotted one of the special guests that I've been wanting to meet for years now.
Hey Hoop fans, it's Tim Kitzrow, the original voice of NBA Jam. Boom shakalaka!
Tim Kitzrow was the voice of my childhood, plain and simple. While most would be familiar with his work on NBA Jam, for me, it was all the Midway sports titles from the early 2000s. The The games were super entertaining in their own right, but the commentary elevated the fun factor to a whole nother level. In 2003 though, Midway discovered absolute gold when they put Tim Kitzrow and Jimmy Shorts together for MLB Slugfest.
You know, Jimmy, it's not easy being gorgeous.
Tell me about it. I was born gorgeous. You know, it's a curse at times.
It doesn't matter how innovative commentary gets in future sports titles. Nothing, and I mean nothing, will ever top these two together.
Hey, Jimmy, I watched that movie, that Time Machine movie, last night. Oh, that H.G. Wells thing. If you had a time machine, where would you go?
I would go back and I would date Cleopatra in Egypt.
Why?
I don't know.
You mean the real one or the movie star who played her?
What are you talking? We're talking about
the one in the movie
the
was
real
hot.
one.
What's her name?
No, I'm gonna go back in time, and now here's Liz Taylor.
Oh, what are you gonna do with the?
What is it?
I used to be so entertained by their commentary work that I would use my old recorder to document all their sayings and quotes when I was a kid, and just listen to them later. It was like a podcast for me back in elementary.
What was your first pet? What was his name?
Gosh, I want to say Pie Wacket?
Pie Wacket.
Yeah,
Pie Wacket.
yeah. Who's that? Black?
What are you, an Eskimo?
And despite playing these titles time and time again, I still discover new quotes from them. It's truly the gift that keeps on giving.
Hello, go ahead.
Yeah. I have a lot of friends and a lot of people at work who say that I sound a lot like Jim. And
Wow.
Jim, I wanted to get your opinion. Do you think I sound like you? No, I don't think you sound like me at all. No, I think I do sound like you. No, I don't. I'm hearing you over the phone. No. And my friends say that I do sound like you. Now, trust me, sir, you're higher pitched, all right?
So meeting Tim was truly a cool experience for me. I got a few autographs and learned a few things about him. Like how he was the voice of Rod Serling in the Twilight Zone pinball game.
You have come to the end of your journey. This is no ordinary gumball machine. An opportunity awaits you in the form of an extra ball.
It caught me completely off guard, and I could have talked to him for hours. He was very welcoming and generally happy talking about his work. He even recorded a segment for me doing a bit as both himself and Jimmy Shorts.
Welcome to MLB Slugfest. Hi, Tim Kitzrow, everyone, with my compatriot Jimmy Shorts.
You know what? I'm gonna beat you over to having a folding chair. Why is that pigeon still on my table?
Well, Jimmy, you shouldn't feed him bird seed.
Oh, why not? What are you gonna feed birds? A muffin?
It made my entire weekend, and it's something I'll cherish forever. And if you aren't familiar with Jimmy Shorts, aka Kevin Matthews, do yourself a favor and look up the Cavalcade of Sports.
Michael Jordan up the court here. He's getting ready to slam it. There's Scottie Pippen running, Michael Jordan. And there is Tony Kukoc.
I could go on another tangent how side-splitting his show is, but I gotta continue what else the convention had to offer.
Now these are turtles wrestling.
The convention was still buzzing. The Dallas Crew and Minnesota Misfits were running amok. I snagged a few more titles and decided to call it quits for buying games today. I went to the arcade section again and spent more time there than I anticipated. More because I was admiring the giant Godzilla inflatable with its pierced nipples. They had plenty of pinball machines, mostly from Bally, which is a plus. Seriously, all their machines were top notch. A Riverboat Gambler, Theater Magic, Mousing Around, and they all get my stamp of approval. Before leaving, I did check out the Gaming Museum, which I always appreciate. It was more old consoles hooked up, but they added some pizzazz to make it feel retro. Hey, they're trying. It's unusual to find things displayed at a museum that you yourself have in your own home. Still though, any display with a Topo robot is dope in my book. By the way, did I mention that they set up a gosh dang wrestling ring outside the hall? And a legit one too, you hear that smack? Jeez! Well, it was getting late, and it was time for the after party. Started off with us getting reamed by Dan at Street Fighter. Doc was giving me a free prostate exam, pictured here. Nate brought in Milwaukee branded beer, cases and cases of it, which did not go to waste to say the least. Jeff was holding court on how deep dish pizza is the best type of pizza, while I ordered a macaroni and cheese pizza from Ian's, and of course wasn't drunk when I took this picture. Then Donald and Kirk dueled it out in College Slam, a battle that went right to the final buzzer.
Oh, come on!
Another one, this could be a dagger right there. Oh, he threw from in there! From deep! Save the rest! And finally, we concluded the night with multiple rounds of Jackbox. And well, what happens on Jackbox stays on Jackbox. Except this t-shirt I made. And I wore in public one night. Accidentally. I crashed back in my hotel room with Kirk. What will tomorrow bring? Well, for starters, I was woken up by John and Jake from next door. My alarm, of course, didn't go off. Everyone basically got their final pickups from the vendor hall. I was content of just playing pinball machines until our flight in a few hours. Although I did spot Waldo. I found him. I found him. Oh, thanks, John. A few rounds of Pinbot and watching some guy rock out to pre-recorded metal songs. It capped off a terrific weekend at the Midwest Gaming Classic. The Dallas crew and Minnesota Misfits parted ways till next time, and we were off to the airport. After a quick and non-controversial lunch at Chili's, we were in the air. Unbeknownst to me, when we landed, the mind behind Shank Mods was sitting behind us, showing off his suitcase of modded consoles. And if you haven't checked out his channel, please do. It's worth a watch. After returning home, I was greeted by the bodacious one who kept the place nice and tidy. Shout out to Barn Baby. Now for the moment y'all been waiting for. It's the convention pickups. Take it away, Canuck, and excuse the poop-ass audio. Howdy do, honey poos. It's me, the Clutch Canuck, along with the bodacious Barnaby. And we're here at the Canuck Collection Cavern, I guess that's the name of it. And, well, here to show you my pickups from Midwest Gaming Classic. And, let's get to it. Well, before we get to any games, I'm going to start off with the autographs from Tim Kitzrow. Of course, mention how awesome it was meeting him and getting pictures and videos and all that. So here's the 3 autographs. I may have already mentioned it in the video, but still, just a wonderful experience from old Canucko. You right? I think Barnaby wants down. Oh, for goodness sakes! I understand you a little bit of stage fright here. Come back to me. Don't worry. Oh, over here and snorting. All right, Barnaby, you can sit down there. I understand. I guess, anyway, here we got Rainbow Island. This is an Atari ST title. I have a few of them already up there, as you can see. Always great collecting these type of boxes, and, you know, it felt pretty light, so I went to go open it up to see what was in it. I assumed it was just going to be the cartridge, but actually, this might be complete, believe it or not. All there is a bag, the cartridge and a how-to, but the bag is licensed by Ocean, and Ocean did produce this game. So, yeah, it's kind of unique finding, I guess, a licensed bag. And I guess, knowing how light this game was, I really wasn't expecting this to be as complete as it was. It's probably missing something. Even if it was, it's still a really cool find, something you don't find every day. And yeah, Rainbow Islands. Got this an S after it. It's Hawaii. Okay, next we got Demon Stalkers by Micro Forte. I always want to say Death Stalker, which is a movie franchise from the 80s. And if you haven't seen the second one, please do. It is quite a trip. It came in this vinyl casing or packaging, I guess whatever way you want to say it. I have a few up there. I got Bop and Wrestle and Bop and Rumble. And actually, I got quite a few around here somewhere. It was always Electronic Arts or Mindscape. I don't know if any other company made these in this certain packaging. Every time I found one, it was either one of those two companies. But yeah, I always like seeing these because they've always been consistent for the past decade in terms of its value. You don't see many of these at conventions, any convention. You don't see many in general. It's great, you know, it's always great finding these, and they're all just really, I don't want to keep using unique, but it is. Anyone who collects vinyl can, you know, understand how neat it is to find a game with all the instructions, the how-to, you know, in this type of packaging. So, really cool find, Demon Stalkers, yeah. Going a little more modern now, we got Wet Twix on the N64. Gotta show the N64 some love. I don't have too many complete in box. I have a lot of loose, but you know, it's always good to add one on there. A title that I'm not too familiar with. It seems to be puzzle based. It looks a little bit like Marble Madness or Kirby's Avalanche, whatever that title is. Never played this one. Yeah, it's always been one that I just kind of caught my attention. It has kind of like an old school look to it, the 3D. Kind of looks like a Pokemon card background from the early editions. Made by Ocean as well, so hey, Rainbow Island's got some love over there. There you go, it's Wet Twix. I'm not too familiar with this one. I had to get info from Jake. So this is a Famicom game. I can't say the title, but it is apparently a hockey game based on the characters from River City Ransom. And as you see on the back right there, has a little bit of a Mega Man Soccer vibe to it, where you take a franchise that has nothing to do with sports and then put them in a game. It's always fascinating finding titles like that. You know, besides Mario, you have, you know, just random characters in sports games, and this is one of the earlier examples, maybe the earliest example. So yeah, a cool title here. Kind of looking forward to playing this translated. It's got a cool box art, like the green checkers on the side and the cover. Pretty interesting one here. Jake was going to buy this one, but instead I swooped in and said, hey, I'll buy it. Why not?
Why not?
Alright, we got another Commodore title. One that's kind of hard to find. It's Bazooka Bill. Already I love that name. If I ever had to be desperate for money and needed a side job as an adult film star, I think I found my name. But Bazooka Bill seems to be a side-scroller. Don't know much about this title. That seems to be the theme of the games I usually get. Got that cheesy artwork. It looks like someone that would have starred Cameron Mitchell in a late 80s movie.
No, comrade. Allow me, please.
Looks pretty cheesy. I like what I see. It's one of those I just picked up the shelf and said, I need this. This game is just calling me.
I'm not a goddamn repairman!
Okay, here's something that I was expecting to find there, but I'm glad because it was on my list of games to review, and I will get to those since I got a new laptop recently. It is Baldies on the Jaguar CD. Yes, the Jaguar CD version. I'm aware it came out on the PlayStation and I want to say Saturn. It came out on another console, maybe PC. But the Jaguar CD version is the hardest one to find, and I more or less want to do a double review of the Jag CD and the and Baldies as well. It has kind of like a cannon fodder type of look to it, along with the cutscenes and the overhead kind of strategy type of vibe to it. Actually, the cannon fodder is right there. So, interesting to find this one. Kind of glad I did. I've always saw 2 other Jaguar CD games being sold at the convention, so glad I was able to get this one off my list. By the way, shout out to Courtney for sending me The Humans, a big box PC game. Realized I didn't include this in my little bundle I made, and well, I just have to include it, so appreciate it, bud. Alright, Buster Bros Collection. Pretty common title, not something you see every day, but not something that will shock you if you saw it in the wild. Buster Bros Collection. Big fan of Buster Bros on Game Boy. There it is up there. Love Buster Bros. It's just one of those fun Game Boy games. Curious to see how it plays on a console like PlayStation 1. yeah, just one of those ones I said, hey, I want to play that. That looks like fun. Why not buy it? Going on the way back, we're going for Atari 2600, a SpectraVision title. We got Nexar. I love finding SpectraVision games out in the wild. They're hard to find, let alone loose, but to find them complete in box and a good price for it, it's great. I think it's the first one I have. I used to have a couple, sold them, but it's great to find one in this condition. Very clean, complete in box. You always like to see your reflection and how it glows in the light. Very unique material they use for these. It looks to be just a typical space shooter, what you expect from Atari. It says on the back, more realistic sound effects, and I'm curious to see how those sound effects sound. Eight Meg Death Duel for the Sega Genesis. This is actually the first game I tested when I got here, because my Genesis was already hooked up. But yeah, don't know if it's worthy of review quite yet. Just this is one of those I didn't know about, but it's not really a title that's hard to find. I just love the first line of the back cover. We got the searing hiss of metal breaks the silence of dawn. And I'm actually thinking it's like actual metal. Hey, let's talk about a game system that no one really talks about. It's the TurboGrafx 16. It's JJ and Jeff. Don't know anything about this one. In fact, I saw it. I didn't even think it was a real game at first. And it's JJ and Jeff. I don't know if it's a cartoon. It's almost like Bob and Tom or Opie and Anthony. Could be just a side-scroller. Very, very curious to see what this one's all about. I thought I was pretty knowledgeable about my TurboGrafx games, and this one just comes out of nowhere, slaps me on the face. It was actually the first game I got at the convention when I was in the vendor hall before the opening day. So yeah, that honestly, this is very intriguing for me, and I gotta say, actually not knowing what the game is, I might want to just go in blind for a review because it's got my attention. It's JJ and Jeff for the 3DO. It's Flying Nightmares, and it doesn't look dated at all. Holy crap! I actually been kind of surprised at the lack of 3DO titles at the convention. When I was in Portland a few years ago, I saw plenty of 3DO titles, and it's almost gone extinct like the Dragon 32, but not in this case. Don't know much about that. I don't know if it's really worthy of review. It's kind of just one of those 3DO shelf titles, but frankly, one I just don't know about. I never heard of Flying Nightmares. I'm expecting it to be a lesser version of Ace Combat, and that actually itself is a fine game on the PlayStation 2. I've only played 4, but yeah, Flying Nightmares. In fact, it actually fits right on my shelf perfectly, right behind me. There you go. Now we got the most expensive title I got at the convention. It's the heavy hitter. It's Brain Dead 13, starring Fritz for the PlayStation. Granted, it came out on other consoles, more cheaper on Saturn and all that. And I may have gone a little overboard spending on this one, but I mean, I'm really fascinated by titles like this. Same with Silverload on the PlayStation 1. One of those point-and-click, quick-time games, in a sense. Finding games like that along with Discworld, I always really fascinated by those for PlayStation and whatnot and Saturn. And this one, it just kind of caught my eye for PlayStation. It came with 2 discs with the manual. Disc 2 is apparently hard to find. It's hard to find this game in general, too, in good condition and a good price. And it was there. It was clean. It looks crisp. Doesn't smell like cigars, which is kind of rare for me for long box PlayStation 1 games. But it's a Ready Soft title. It stars Fritz. It's Brain Dead 13, and I'm looking forward to playing this one. It's quite a white whale for me. And to finally have it, I'm pretty happy. Okay, before we get to the final video game, I do have to give a shout out. There goes Barnaby running away. To Donald. Big shout out to Donald. He sent me 2 board games, and I don't think I've ever mentioned on my channel before that I collect old board games, pre-2000s. In fact, I don't even think I have a game past the year like 96 or something. But board games, love them. And getting 2 of them that are, well, at least one of them that's pretty common, one total wild card for me, is nice. I've actually never played 13 Dead End Drive. I'm familiar that it's like a 3D Clue game. Always hear good things about it. I think people who have played 13 Dead End Drive prefer it to Clue. I enjoy Clue a lot, so seeing an alternate version of it with a twist of some sort is interesting. You can play as the cat, for God's sakes. Look, you can play as the cat. Yeah, 13 Dead End Drive, it's got my attention. It's going to go right to the tippity top of the collection in my board game room. And High Five, I know this is a Canadian title. It was manufactured in Edmonton, Alberta. Despite being made in Canada, I was surprised to find out how many of these copies are in the US. It's actually more common than I thought. I always thought this was like a Canadian exclusive game that nobody really knew about. I was slightly familiar with it. I've seen the cover, but I'd never seen it like in the box. I've always just seen a picture of it. I didn't even know if like it could have just been the instruction booklet for all I cared. But High Five, I know nothing about in terms of the gameplay. It's the game of wit, humor, and 10,000 laughs. That's a lot of laughs. I mean, it really better freaking bust my balls out if it's going to be hilarious. It's trivia. It seems to be like guessing, bluffing, charades, drawing. It's almost like a fantasy version of Cranium, and I like Cranium, but High Five. I feel like I've said it 100 times in this video already, but fascinated by this one. Very fascinated to play this one. And certainly, last but not least, one of the greatest gifts I've ever gotten in my life. And I gotta say, this made my entire weekend almost as much as it made me and Tim Kittrell. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you one of the most beloved games on the internet, Sword of Sodan. Now, you might be thinking, I mean, granted, that's pretty special, to find a game like this, but Canuck, it's loose. I mean, it's great and all, but is it really the greatest thing you've seen? Oh, how about loose, signed by Donald, the guy who sent me these board games, himself, the world record holder of Sword of Sodan with a score of 90,300. I got shivers. I had to go to the bathroom. I was nervous after holding something like this. I feel like I shouldn't be even holding this right now. I feel like I should mount it on a wall somewhere in my living room. I may replace the star on top of the Christmas tree with a cartridge of Sword of Sodan. I mean, that's how much this means to me. And Donald, I can't thank you enough getting this and going to display it. I can't just slip it in the Genesis cartridge. It has to be displayed. And it's wonderful. Just simply a wonderful gift that I am appreciative of dearly. Oh, and before I go, this is my final item I got at Midwest. It's not even a video game. It's in fact a name tag. But what's so special about it? Subscribe to the Clutch Canuck. Ain't that a dandy? My goodness, it's a little slip-on clip tag. I thought I could just put it somewhere, and, boom, you look around, and everyone's like, hey, why am I subscribed to the Clutch Canuck? Why aren't you subscribed to the Clutch Canuck? You got Barnaby crying over there, for God's sakes. Anyway, that's basically my haul for the Midwest Gaming Classic. I'll send it back to me in a narration booth. Take it away, Canuck. So that will do it for Midwest Gaming Classic 2021. In case you haven't heard, I bought a new laptop recently, so making videos is as easy as taking kibbles from a Barnaby. So reviews are in the queue, and I do respect the queue. And as for the top 50 Twilight Zone episodes, I might have to reduce it down to 10. I realized that the video was going to be over 3 hours long if it was 50, so sorry. This is the Clutch Canuck and the Bodacious Barnaby saying, set sail, me old trout.